Teaching your art online or in person is a conversation we've been having over the last few weeks, and we've been delving into this world of how you can share your skills, build community, create experiences for people alongside your own art or actually as a full-time thing. And it's something I'm passionate about sharing because this is what I've ended up doing with United Art Space. So when I graduated from my fine art degree, I knew that I didn't want to be a full-time artist in a studio every day selling. I loved it and I had a go at it. But for me, I really wanted to give back and I loved the idea of creating community and I love sharing knowledge. So for me, it was always a given from the outset. And I've done it now over the last 10 to 15 years, 10 years online, 15 years in person, on and off. And we've been sharing this week over the last 3 weeks, in fact, information on how you can get started. And I'm joined today with Nicole and Vanessa, who are artists from our community. So welcome, Nicole and Vanessa. And I wanted to bring in people that had gone through this too, because I've been sharing over the last few weeks from my experience, but it's so great to hear from other artists and hear their journey and also how they got started with what they're teaching and get some pointers from the approach they're taking too, which is why I've invited Nicole and Vanessa in. Nicole and Vanessa took part in our Teacher Art Summit last year. We had this amazing summit. And if you would like to access the replays and of course, the price of that goes up today. So I'm just going to just say this at the beginning. The link is above. We're making that available to watch on a replay, and you can press the link above and get all the information on that. So in this call, please feel free to ask questions as we go. We're going to be speaking with Nicole and Vanessa and talking about the journey. And in fact we started talking just before we pressed the live button and it was getting exciting. I was like, we need to do this publicly. One last thing before we delve in, I just want to apologize. This was supposed to happen last week. We had more guests lined up to join us. Very sorry for the confusion with when we were going live and to the guests that put their names forwards. I have a tooth infection, so we had to cancel the live session at the last minute, but here we are today. So good to see you. Right, Nicole, I'm going to start with you because you're next to me on the screen and we were like mid-flow just a minute ago. Good to see you. So we actually had a call, didn't we, last year? And you were just giving me a quick update on everything that you've got booked. And I was like, wow, because last year we spoke and it was a very different story. So Nicole, cast us back to where you were at the summit, when you took the summit last year. What was going on in your life? And had you already been teaching? So could you set the scene for us?
Sure, thank you, and also thanks for the opportunity to chat and to share my experiences. Yeah. So this time last year, or a little bit earlier, life was pretty skinny on the ground in terms of I guess paid opportunities. I was certainly exhibiting quite a bit in galleries and that kind of thing, but in terms of the teaching opportunities, they weren't exactly thick and fast on the ground or thick and hard on the ground. So I also have a membership as well, which I was just launching at that stage, and I've had 3 launches, and it's taken that long to get at least a couple of members anyway into that sort of thing. So that's been an interesting itself. But in terms of actually teaching your art, so a little bit of background about me. I'm a bobbin lace maker. So Google that if you're not sure. I'm the one who likes bobbins to make my lace with. And I also embroider. So what I found is that by looking to teach both sets of skills, that has opened up a huge lot of, I guess, opportunities for me. A lot of them have been online. It's one advantage of COVID in terms of that. It really did push the technology to be able, and ways to do it in that kind of thing that makes it inclusive for people. Also had some in-person teaching opportunities as well. So on the lace front, it's been both. I've online stuff. And so what we do in that situation, which is something that others might need to think about, is we usually get people to join the meeting twice. So one in a camera situation like this, and a second one with the camera over their work. so that you can help diagnose problems as you go and that kind of thing. So I was part of the LACE marathon that the LACE Museum out of California ran last year. So they had 30 hours of classes continuously, and I had a 3-hour slot as part of that. So that was fantastic. They're going to run another one in January next year, and I'll be a moderator for that. Won't be teaching next time. But I've also got opportunities coming up teaching for the UK LACE Guild, so repeating classes that you've already done. Also doing a lot for the hand weavers and spinners here in Melbourne. I live in Australia, so there's opportunities in that space. And then I've got online, in terms of the embroidery stuff, I've got a chance coming up with the Canadian Embroiderers Guild, and Moncas, which is a local art group here in Melbourne as well, to teach. So it's kind of gone, not total feast, but it's certainly, there's a few more things on the plate this year than there was last year.
And so what do you think has been the biggest difference, Nicole, in that transformation of like now all these opportunities in your pathway?
I think it's being persistent, and it's sort of taking opportunities as they sort of rise, or knowing about them. So, for example, the Embroiderers Guilds often run summer schools here, which for us is January, not this time of year. We're currently rugged up like nothing on earth. But kind of thing. So knowing that those kind of call outs come, and offering projects up to sort of see. Other places often offer call outs as well. The UK LACE one came about because it's their 50th anniversary, and they're running a series of classes throughout the year, and I was asked to teach a class as part of that. So there's all that kind of thing too. Also, when I've exhibited works, I've often asked the galleries too, do you mind if I sit and demonstrate my lace in the window? And I've been basically pussy in the window, sitting there making lace while people walk past, and it's amazing who walks in the door, what catches their eyes, and that kind of thing. Also, I have an exhibition, my first solo exhibition, coming up at the end of towards the end of August here in Melbourne, and I'm running a couple of classes as part of that. And so I just asked the gallery, I said, would you mind if I ran some classes? And they said, yeah, go for it. What do you want to do? And it's just like, okay, I'll get something together and have, submit.
Yeah, wonderful. So it sounds to me like you've just really found your niche, your area. And tell me, Nicole, the bobbin and lace, is this something that's always been an interest of yours? Like, how did you get into something so specific?
I've been a lace maker for like more than 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's something I've always done, and I stitched from a fairly young age as well.
Yeah.
So my mum saw it at a fete when I was a kid. We were living in regional New South Wales, so about 1,000 k's north of where I am now. And she learned it from the locals, and I sit there and watch her at home, and drove her up the wall, and she caved in and taught me. So
yeah.
I had the longest of fuses as a kid in terms of unpicking my mistakes, but it's something I've always done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Isn't that incredible? And so you started out making, and at what point did you start to think that you wanted to teach it? Was it always there, or was this a transition from just making to then thinking, I think I'd like to impart this knowledge onto others?
So it was always, and I've certainly helped beginners in certainly the lace world over many years. A lot of this came around, I got made redundant about 18 months ago, and it was a case of looking for alternative income opportunities. So basically it's like, well, what skills have I got? What can I do? What can I offer? And this was one of them. So a lot of the lace stuff that I do, certainly sort of like for the hand weavers and spinners, is like taster sessions where I take the equipment in, and I just say, if you wear goggles to look at computers and that kind of stuff, bring your goggles because you'll need them. And I provide them with a chance just to have a go with no commitment. So that's sort of me providing all the gear for them, so they don't have to do it, because finding the gear is a challenge. And so you want them to have a positive experience as possible in that sort of situation. So they go away with a bracelet or a bookmark, depending what they want to make it into at the end of the session. They always look at me and go, we're not going to be able to make that in 2 hours or the day session. And they're pleasantly surprised about sort of 40, 45 minutes in that they've actually got their head around what they're meant to be doing, and they're often rolling, and I'm just sitting there chatting with them about whatever they ask me questions about. So yeah.
And what was the first step you took in terms of teaching and finding those people? Can you cast your mind back to the very beginning, early days, just for those people listening that are sat probably in the making and think, I would like to take that step forwards?
It's putting yourself in the position of potentially a beginner, or offering So I think the big thing you need to decide is, are you looking for just to deal with people who've got experience in the space that you work in, or are you happy to take people who just want to have a dabble and
Yeah.
they've never done it before, and just give them the opportunity to have a play and have a try and see whether they'd like to take it on.
Yeah.
So I guess I've got two audiences. A lot of my taster sessions, it's going back to looking at the basics of lace and trying to make something that they can achieve in 2 hours without, and comfortably achieving that time. Because I find 2 hours is usually about as long as people can concentrate, because it is something that they want to concentrate with.
Yeah.
So I thought, and it's nice to make them into something, because the one thing about lace, especially when you're starting, is you make a lot of samples and it's just like, oh, I don't really want to send them away with a sample. Can I make it into something that's a little bit exciting? And so I sort of thought a bracelet might be nice, because most of the people who come are female. So that thing, or they can make it for a relative or something along those lines, or they just don't put the findings on, it becomes a bookmark, so they get a chance to take something away. So think of something that can be done easily, and make sure you've got your samples. So I've actually got my samples made up so they can actually physically see them and touch them and all that kind of stuff. I wind all the bobbins for them before they start, so they don't have any of that ugly stuff. The idea is them just to have a go at making the bracelet.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And where did you first find those few people when you were creating this experience? Where did you find your first customers, your students?
That was I guess I was lucky. Again, that was the summer school that we had running. So first up, it was the Embroiderers Guild here in Melbourne, and then it was the hand weavers and spinners. And I offered the class to them and said, would you like to run this, and this is what we could make? And they took it from there. One of the big things I'd say is also be aware of how many people you can cope with teaching in a class. With the first 40 minutes or 3/4 an hour, I get my steps up, because I'm kind of wandering around helping, bailing people out, fixing things. Going, we've had a bit of unwanted creativity here. Can we just sort this little bit out so you can keep going again? So I find I can't cope with any more than 6 in a class to start. So you need to be clear on that. And in some cases, they know, because they can't make a decent margin on that kind of stuff, having that few people in a class. Just need to be aware. And if that's the case, then you might need to find or organise it yourself. I also organised a couple of sessions myself. So yeah, one went and one didn't. So I just went, you just got to keep going.
This is great advice for people. So yeah, what I'm taking from that is you can do it yourself, absolutely, but then also realise there are guilds out there, there are organisations out there looking for people. And I actually had a meeting recently with Design Nation, and they've asked me to go in and speak and teach, and it's paid. And you know, it's something that I hadn't really considered. So just bear that in mind too, that once you develop what it is you want to create, that there might already be organizations out there looking for people to fulfill what you can do, and they have the people, which is the great thing, isn't it? It's like you just step in, and that's what I'm doing with a different company. They've got the people already. I don't have to do any marketing. I just step in and teach it, which takes a lot of the headache away. But then we know it's tricky. And how did Teach Your Art help? I know you took part in the summit last year. I saw your name popping up and still do. So thank you for your support, Nicole. It's always amazing to see how you're doing. How did that help you last year?
Just some of the ideas, and being prepared to have a go type thing. Like there's places, and like I know, like with the Lace Museum in California, I can continue to like suggest classes, and Joan takes me up on stuff, and other times she gets back to me and goes, don't think we've got an audience for that at the moment. I'll bear it in mind, but we'll do that. So just keeping going, and don't be put off by not succeeding. Try something else, have another go at something else, explore other opportunities, and just keep your ears open for possibilities. Because you never know, like with the exhibition stuff, you never know if you don't ask about running workshops where you've got stuff in the gallery.
So let's just recap, Nicole, because I think we need to get this point across. A year ago, the teaching side was pretty, I don't bleak, because that sounds really negative, but it was, I remember us being on a call and you're like, how do I get this going? And now you've got this list of places that you're teaching in, you've got your membership. It's a big part of your life now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Thank you. If anybody has any questions for Nicole or questions as we go, please do fire away. If you've got any advice for anyone listening, I know we asked you earlier on that first step, but is there anything that you would now look back in the last year specifically as well and think, I wish I'd done that differently, or I wish I knew this?
Not totally. I guess the thing is that it's also looking at your current networks as well. So, like, I'm a member of the two guilds along with the Lace Guild, and I've taught there as well. And just seeing what the possibilities are, because when it's one thing to be a member, it's another thing to be, say, on the committee or asking about other opportunities that are coming up too.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like with the Lace Guild, their AGM is in Melbourne. This time in September this next year, and so just seeing whether it's possible to teach for them.
Yeah,
teach them classes and offering and putting something up. So ask them about what their process is. Don't die wondering is the motto I've taken on. Ask the question and don't die wondering about whether you could have been part of something and that kind of.
Don't die wondering. Isn't that a great one to end on? Yeah, we'll end on that, Nicole. Don't die wondering. I love that. Ask the questions. That's a brilliant ending. Thank you. Vanessa, I want to come to you. It's so exciting. So a different experience for you, isn't it? Because Vanessa, you're about to run your first in-person with a small group of people, a bit like what I'm about to do, in fact. And you're doing that for free so that you can start to generate that rapport, the connections with people, and it's all about reconnecting with your art, which of course I love. I'm a massive advocate of. I love this so much. So can you cast your mind back, Vanessa, to a year ago before you did teacher art? What was life like? What was going on for you? And how did you come up with this idea?
Sure. Okay, cool. Thank you for inviting me on here. So a year ago, I was putting a show together with some friends. We formed a collaborative together and had a show together. And I remember I joined the Teacher Art Summit, and I was listening to it. And at the time, I was really getting back into my own art practice, because I'd been actually I studied art at university, and then I went straight to teaching, and then I taught art for about 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And got quite sort of burnt out, and I really wanted to get to my art practice again. And so I've been doing that over the last 5 years, since doing your 7 Keys course, which was amazing.
Wonderful.
And that really got me back into doing my art practice. And then so since then I've been having exhibitions and selling work, and then I wanted to use my teaching practice in a way that was sustainable, so that I could not get overwhelmed with the teaching. And so started teaching workshops in the community, mainly meditative drawing, and with plant dyes, which was something I've been really interested in. And I did those. I've done a few of them in the community as part of shows and things like that, and it's been really fun. And then I wanted to kind of develop that into a course, and I wasn't sure whether to do it online or in person. And then I thought, okay, online, and there was so much technical stuff involved, and I was getting really overwhelmed, and and just finding it was turning me off the whole idea. And then with your summit, it kind of broke it down into really easy steps. I think the platform and the workshops and all the worksheets and everything, and it really helped me to sort of clarify what it was that I wanted to teach, because I've been teaching art for 25 years, and I was like, well, I could teach this or this or this, and I just didn't know which way to go. But people kept asking me, like, how did you get back into your art practice? And so then I realized that was the thing that people were asking, and that was the thing that I love to talk about. And so I was talking to these people individually, and so it just sort of, it was kind of evolved, and then I thought, right, they want to have something in person, so we'll do like a workshop together, and I've just found a venue for that, so that's really cool, which will be free. And then we'll do that, and then we'll have a series of Zoom calls, and then I've worked out, the kind of structure of how I want to do it, and broken it into parts, and kind of figured out what, how it will work, and what kind of transformation I want from them, or what I think they should get from it, and the outcomes. And and then I've it's not going to be a cost to them, because I would just want to get lots of feedback, and so I can tweak it and develop it, and then I can get some testimonials, and sort of, and then start building it from there. So I'm at the very beginning stages of that.
Yes, I love that journey. So you were doing the other workshops, and so so what I'm hearing here, and let me just relay it back so you can just let me know if I'm hearing it correctly. So you were running these other workshops with this group of people, and that was doing the mindful drawing with what did you say it was that you were using?
Meditative drawing with plant dyes.
Oh, plant dye.
So
and so was it that group of people that were asking the question, or was that a question? Where was that question coming from when people were saying, how can we connect with your art?
Well, the workshops have been in different art community centres around Auckland, where I live. I did one with the Watercolour Society. That was after doing the Teacher Art Summit, and that was with like 25 elderly people in this big hall, which was quite interesting, because teaching adults is quite different to. It has similarities to teaching teenagers, but also quite different. And so teaching to such a big group was quite interesting, in a hall, not in a classroom. But then the other groups were through the community centres, and so they would do the marketing, and they would organise the advertise who was coming along. So they're all different people coming along to those courses. And I have got a mailing list now that I've been building up, and I set up my website over the last year too. So that's so slowly, my website, my art practice, email lists and newsletters, and so building that up. And then at the same time, I suppose the people who were asking were friends or friends of friends that I would, bump into at exhibition openings, or if I was teaching, because I had been doing a little bit of, part-time teaching, or relief teaching, or supply teaching, I think you call it. And so people would come up and go, "Oh, what you're doing your art practice? Like, how did you do that?" And so a lot of those people are the ones who I've asked to join my pilot group.
This is wonderful. This sounds really basic to people, but it's like it's so smart. This is sometimes where people get tangled up, is that you are listening, and a lot of it, teaching is about listening, isn't it? Like, we think it is just about giving, but it is about listening. Like, what is it people are struggling with? What is it that they want? Where are they getting stuck? It's about paying attention. And that is a massive skill in those early days too, to develop, because it becomes this two-way thing. It's not just about what we can give, but what do they want? What are they craving? And so for you to listen to that, and that's what I do. A lot of the time I'm listening to what people are asking. I'm paying attention, and I'm always listening to those questions, and they either become a piece of content to then engage with people, or it becomes a lesson or a course in some way. So I think that's really smart. And then the fact that you're then giving that to people, for that experience, like that's just going to grow them, because I would imagine that each of those people will know somebody else in that same situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how wonderful and how exciting that it's something that you are deeply connected to as well. It's somebody else witnessing your journey going, I would like to do what you're doing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like a win-win situation. And I would imagine, Vanessa, I'd love to know the process now of, like you say, you've started to think about that customer experience and the journey of them being in the room, and then also the following on Zoom sessions and what that will look like. How has that process helped you? Because I find when I go through that process, it helps me really think, right, what is it that I know? And it helps me realize more about myself. Have you found that happen to you as you're going through this?
Yeah, definitely. And I can see, like, as I'm going through it, and I'll get a whole lot of clarity at one point, and I'll be thinking, okay, I can do this, this, and this, and then suddenly I'll get overwhelmed again, and then I'm like, okay, come on, you can do this. It's okay. And I have to think of the big picture. Okay, I'm helping these people.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want help from me with how I've got through this, and so then it's sort of breaking it down again, breaking it down. Okay, what's the next thing I can do? Like, you're really, Michelle, you're amazing at teaching these things, which has been so helpful. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just because I know that, like, 5 years ago, I was in a really, really kind of dark place with, just didn't feel like I could, that I really wanted to connect with my art, but I was so overwhelmed with so much teaching that I really had to connect with my art and what, that was really important to me. And now I've sort of gone back to the teaching to bring that in. So, yeah. And I think for people who want to do teaching, it's such a rewarding thing to do. You get so much from it, and just seeing people grow and change and develop their skills and learn so much. And um and but it's also, you have to look after yourself too, and kind of know that, you've got to have your own practice and do the teaching as well. So now I call myself an artist who, teaches classes rather than I used to call myself an art teacher, but now I'm an artist who teaches. So it's the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which feels healthier to me.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how that flip and can just take that pressure off you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
like what you're saying here around the mountain. So I just want to talk about this quickly. When you start to get into a idea of a course or an experience, I don't think it matters what size it is. There's always going to be this element of overwhelm for the person creating it, I feel, because we're looking at the mountain. Like, we see it as this big thing, especially when we're starting to go through it and map it all out and we see the A/B transformation. And so what you're saying there really resonates with me, Vanessa, where you just start to then, you've got to just take that step back. So I think this is really great advice for anybody listening who's going through the same thing, and to know that when you start mapping this out yourself, you'll go through it, you will. And whenever you get the overwhelm, it's taking that next step and breaking it down. And why this is such a good thing to go through as a teacher or an artist who teaches, or a creative who creates experiences. That's what I am. That's going to be on my business card. Work that one out. But going back to kind of the process of going through that yourself, I think really helps you become a better teacher, because you're going through that overwhelm of actually creating it. The people that are learning it are going to go through the same thing of taking it in and going through the same overwhelm. So you going through it, delivering it, and kind of mapping it all out, and then how you're going to have to bring that back to the very, very next step is exactly what you're going to have to do for your learners. So it kind of, you're putting yourself in the situation that you will have empathy with that person. Like when I was creating it, I felt overwhelmed at this point as well. This is what we do now. We're just breaking it down to this next small step. And so, and then one point to add on that actually is when you are mapping something out, to really do break down the steps for your learners as well, to really tiny. I think sometimes when we become experts or we know our content inside out, we can overload. And of course, somebody starting out too wants to add amazing value and give so much. But in today's world, especially, it can get so overwhelming for people. So sometimes, and especially when you're constructing a course, and this is what I go through in the Teach Your Art modules that I have created in the Teach Your Art bundle, is thinking about those micro steps and giving people a tiny, tiny win that sometimes we look at and we think, really? Is that all I'm giving them? Yeah, just give them the tiny, tiny win at the beginning, especially to ease people in, and then grow into it, which it's this mountain analogy where I've gone off, Vanessa, which I really liked. So thank you for that. And oh yeah, we have a lovely comment here. I'm really resonating with what Vanessa is saying. I'm an artist teacher and trying to get back into my own practice. Love that. I'm an artist who teaches. Yes. And also actually, you've signed up. Thank you for signing up. You've taken the course. Looking forward to the journey. Yeah, well, you'll have everything that you need now in the Teacher Art bundle. It gives you the very, very basics of how to start to go from idea to income, and then a load of lovely bonuses that actually I found so inspiring. I took part in it last year and I've been refreshing on it again this year. But some of the people that came in to speak about how to run paint parties and craft clubs and to speak with confidence, we had people come in to speak about legal. That was Kimberly. We had people come in to talk about how you would launch something, you know, how you generate that excitement and that energy around something that you have to sell. I learned a lot from it last year, so you'll get a lot from it. But yeah, thank you for signing up. If anybody has any questions, we're just about to wrap up, so please do fire away in the chat. Vanessa, do you have any final words for anybody who's maybe getting started with this? Like I asked Nicole, if you could give yourself advice, think, I wish I'd known this, or I wish I'd done this differently. Is there anything?
I think I like the way, you know, in the course that you broke things down into really manageable steps, and that the videos aren't too long, and so but they cover some really valuable steps and sequences. And then there was a really good one about filming your courses with the studio lighting, and that I found that really helpful, that one.
Oh, that's a brilliant one. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
With
yeah,
Adrian. Yeah, we had
yes.
Adrian come in to do a demo on how to film like face to camera and overhead, and he's phenomenal. Yeah, such a good one. I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, so that's really good. So I'm in the process of setting up my studio. My partner's put, you know, some lights in, and now, you know, sort of getting that all set up. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there were two questions I wrote down that you asked, which were really cool and really helped me. What was it? What topic do you love to talk about, and what topic do you want to avoid teaching? And I think that really helped me to, you know, to clarify what I didn't want to teach.
Yeah.
You know, so and what I really like to talk about. So that really helped me to clarify things. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Vanessa. I've been asking that myself recently as I'm evolving there's some things that I used to teach that I don't want to teach anymore. You know, I just don't
Yeah.
feel as in love with it anymore. I just feel like I've evolved, and it's hard sometimes to let go and admit that. I'm like, oh, but I'm really good at it. I like it. But it's time, you know, I know in my heart it's time to let that go. So asking
Yeah.
that question, brilliant. Thank you for reminding me what it is that we don't want to teach is something that I'm asking myself a lot right now. I'm really hammering those two questions as I decide what to say yes to and no to. I'm finding a lot of opportunities come my way. One I'm exploring right now where I'm having to teach somebody else's content. And it's a big learning curve for me because I've always taught my own stuff. I create my own things. I've never stepped into somebody else's shoes to teach their thing. And I'm going through that process right now. And I'm kind of really touching base with these questions like, do I feel this? Because I've got to feel it and I've got to be passionate about their stuff. Otherwise, I cannot do it. And so that's a great point about boundaries too, like knowing your boundaries. Nicole mentioned this earlier, to go, I have 6 in a class and that's that. I don't do any more than that. And knowing that and knowing your boundaries. I don't teach this anymore. I don't do that. You know, this is the point I'll be getting to soon. I don't do that anymore. I know people are coming to me saying, can you help me with this? I don't do that anymore. Or yeah, if somebody asks you to, oh, can you just teach this as well? No, I don't cover that. Yeah. Or if you're asking yourself, and just be mindful of this because you will have students come in asking for everything. I mean, I have done this for many years now, and you'll have people asking, and what about this? And what about this? And can I learn this? And can I learn that? And it's okay to have your boundaries there as well, that this is what I said I was going to deliver. This is what I'm delivering. And no, I don't cover that, because some people end up becoming yes people and go, yeah, I can do that for you. Yeah, I can add this on. And then you burn out, or you end up doing things that actually you're not interested in. You're like, well, I could teach them that. And that's a little bit how I fell in. I'm a yes person. I'm like, yeah, I can find that out for you. Before you know it, you've got all these different lessons going on. Wonderful. There was, I'm just going to check the chat before we wrap up. Hasn't this been wonderful? I've really loved it. Firehorse, can I just hold on a minute? Because you put a comment up here. It's really interesting. Firehorse from Southeast UK. My art is about urban landscape. I keep seeing Firehorse everywhere. And I know it is the year of the Firehorse, but I stopped seeing it from April or February, whenever it became the Firehorse year. And then in the last week, literally, I keep seeing the word Firehorse and pictures of the Firehorse everywhere. So first of all, thank you for bringing it back again. I feel like the universe is trying to tell me something. And now I'm going to go to your question. Hold on, there's a few questions here, and then I'm going to wrap up. So where has it gone? It's grayed it out because I've already clicked it, so I just need to find it again. Here it is. Any opinions on live streaming art on YouTube, etc.? So I just think you've got to choose the platform. There's two things I always have in mind when I'm choosing a platform. One, I have to love the platform myself, like I have to love using it. And two, are your people on there, or can you get them on there? And that's it, basically. There are ways of growing a YouTube channel, if that's what you're asking, because there's two different things going on when you're live streaming. Number one is this a place where I can invite people to tune in? So you're encouraging them to come. And then there's also, are you hoping that you're going to scoop up some people by doing that live? So there are things to bear in mind too. Like, what's the point in it? Is it just to encourage your people that know you to come and watch, which is what I'm doing here? I'm not trying to scoop up new people. I'm literally, I've sent this out to my email list and my people are coming to this. There is also an option to do lives on platforms to grow visibility, and that's something a little bit different, that you have to follow the platform algorithm, the way they work. There's particular ways that Facebook work, that Instagram works, that YouTube, they all have their different ways of working. So you'd have to look at that specific platform and learn that platform inside out, is what I would say, if you are using it to grow visibility and new people. But it actually doesn't matter. I don't believe, this is my opinion, I just don't think it matters. People get very hung up on this, but as long as you love it and you can find people there or get people there, I just like to keep things simple. Yeah, somebody from India can sign up. Absolutely. We have people from all around the world signing up for this course. The link is above. It doesn't matter where you are. It applies to all countries and people and cultures, and it's in relation to art, so 2D, 3D, or experiences too. So I'm doing it recently to create experiences in person for people, that isn't about teaching, it's about taking them on a journey and reconnecting them. So yeah, it's easy to be a people pleaser. It is, yeah. And sometimes we're doing that person a favor sometimes by saying as well, do you need that? Like the question I've just had, do you need that right now? Maybe just focus on this instead. So yeah, good answers. I'm currently building on YouTube, mainly craft community, as they're friendly and chatty. Yeah. So just think about those two ways of using it. One, to my current people, just driving people to it, and two, organically, different ways of using them. I think there was one last question. So yeah, this was, you make watercolor paintings, so you could use the course for that. What is a good platform to sell art? So this one, this is a great thing about boundaries, right? So I'm not covering that today. And again, if I was, this is what I would say really quickly, is it really depends on where are your people, who are you selling to? You've got to know where you're putting your work to find the correct audience. So that's the question first. When you learn that bit, then where to put it becomes easier. And again, I don't think it actually matters too much. People get hung up about the platform, but it's who your people are that is the most important. Who are your people? Who are you aiming to attract? Where are they? I'm wrapping up now because I've got to go to the dentist. Someone's asked me to give a brief about United Art Space. You can go on to unitedartspace.org website to go and find out more about us. And please do come back and answer any questions in here if you have any more follow-up questions after you've seen the site. Thank you so much to Vanessa and Nicole. I wish you both all the very best with putting yourselves out there, making an impact on other people. Thank you for taking the time to come in today and share your own journeys. It always impacts others, so I'm really grateful, and it's always lovely for me to hear as well from other people. I love it. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. We'll put links as well in the comments. I know Nina's here. If we can put Nicole and Vanessa's links to their socials, so that if anybody here wants to follow up and follow Vanessa and Nicole, they can. And I'm sure maybe we'll come back next year and see how you've got on in 12 months' time. There you go. There's an accountability.
Happy to take up the challenge.
Yeah. Let's see. I am too, because I keep saying I'm going to do these in-person things and I'm not doing them. So I need to sit here next year and say, yeah, they're going amazing. They're packed out. Oh, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.